What's up, everyone? Fresh off the national championship game. What a wild game it was. It really just kind of followed suit from what we saw Kansas do throughout the month of March. And this tournament in particular, it's Chris Onorato, it's Ashley Miller. You're watching Onorato and Company on the News Channel 13, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Saturday nights on My 4. Yes, we are early in the week. Because we will be out of town late in the week. So we figured, you know what? We got a great opportunity on a Tuesday to react to what happened Monday night with Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks cutting down the nets against North Carolina. Let's do the show earlier in the week. And obviously, you can still always catch us Saturday nights at 6:30 on My 4. Hi, Ash.
Hey, what's going on? Chris, national championship, opening day of baseball, Masters. This week doesn't get much better.
The show writes itself. Let's get it going here, Onorato and Company.
This is Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpenhaus.
Thanks to all our sponsors here on Onorato and Company. You just saw it there, Alpenhaus, the great family, Katie Osborne, Andy Heck, for their support from the very beginning with this show when we brought it over to News Channel 13. Our thanks to them. The guys, the entire crew, not just guys now over at Novice. They continue to grow Novice Clothing Company, outfitting this show and News Channel 13 overall. We've got the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute still to come on this show, and you will see more Popeyes popping up in the capital region throughout this calendar year with more grand openings coming. We will be along for the ride at each of those. Marcella's Appliance Center. Great people over at Marcella's. Johnny Marcella is our guy, Ash. You know him. And Nick Matalone, who does great things over there at Marcella's. Expansion coming in Clifton Park. So look out for that with Marcella's. And we've just got a great team of support here on Onorato and Company. So thanks to everybody who's been along the ride with us, and Pick Six Vodka. Of course,
Yes,
we will
indeed.
take you to the bunker in Clifton Park later on in the show with Shaker Ridge pro Dan Gaucher, and we'll get his Masters prediction. We'll talk a little bit about the Masters here as well, because how can you not? Tiger Woods is going to play, right? I'm saying this at 10:11 Eastern on a Tuesday. He's going to meet with the media in less than an hour, Ash. And I have to think he's going to say then and there, I am playing Thursday.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, after you heard Fred Couples come out and say he looked phenomenal yesterday in the practice round, I think that for me was like, okay, well, he's playing. Whether or not he, succeeds, makes the cut, does well, who cares at this point? They just want Tiger in that tournament. And it sounds like he's going to play.
And we'll do more of this. Here are the favorites to win the Masters right now. We'll do a deeper dive into the Masters later on the show, but a quick sneak peek here at the favorites to win the Masters. It is John Rahm's game to win, if you will. Those odds brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Let's not go any further without talking about what we saw Monday night in New Orleans, a 15-point deficit. Kansas couldn't do anything right after they took a 7-0 and then 9-3 lead. They missed so many layups in that first half. I was ready to lose my mind. And then the comeback in the second half. I mean, tale of two halves. We use that phrase a lot in sports. This personifies it. It defines exactly what it means to have a tale of two halves. And what Kansas was able to do to turn the tables on North Carolina, it looked like that Miami game we saw in the Elite Eight. And we saw Kansas even put teams away earlier in the tournament because of their defense. And that's exactly what they did, Ash. They sped up North Carolina to start the second half. They turned the ball over. They got layups. They attacked the basket. They got and ones.
Yeah, for as bad as the last 17 minutes of the first half were for Kansas, it was worse for North Carolina in the second half. And I didn't think they were out of it. 15 points is a lot, but 15 points in 20 minutes is not all that much. So I didn't think they were out of it, but I didn't expect them to be back in it 5 minutes into the second half. I mean, 5 minutes into the second half, it was like a 3-point game.
Yeah, they got all the way back to even with 9. It took them 9 minutes to get all the way back to even. And they held a 6-point lead even in the second half before things got tight again. You knew Carolina wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
The Baycott injury there late in the game, you wonder how that affects the true outcome down the stretch. But either way, what a game it was.
Awesome.
You said, what is this game on speed? I know you used a different word, but it was that type of game where you didn't know what to expect next.
Yeah, and the thing was, I think I said this to you. I was in the station watching the game to 7-0 and 9-3. I had to run out to go shoot something for news.
Yep.
I come back a half hour later, maybe not even a half hour, and it's a 15-point lead for North Carolina. And I thought, what the heck happened? It literally went from one way, it was 9-3 Kansas, to the other way, and it was a 15-point lead for Carolina. And then I drove home at halftime, and by the time I got home, there was probably 11 minutes left in the second half, and it was basically tied at that point, or Kansas may have even had a lead. So the swings, it's probably overused, the fact that people say, hey, it's a game of runs. Every game is a game of runs. Not more true than last night, because the runs were huge and completely one-sided.
Yeah, Kansas looked like a completely different team, as did North Carolina in that second half. I said to our buddy here, who's the executive producer at News Channel 13, he knew where I was leaning, who I had picked to cover, and that was Kansas. But I still was getting so aggravated with North Carolina early in that second half because they had great success inside. Now, a lot of it was off offensive rebounds, yes, but they were throwing the ball inside, Ash, to both Baycott and Manick, for that matter, having success inside, and they stopped doing that for the beginning of the second half, which allowed Kansas to speed up the guards, force turnovers, and get easy buckets on the other end. I don't know why they stopped throwing the ball inside, but to me, that was the biggest turning point, is they stopped attacking Lightfoot and McCormick, knowing they had the size advantage that had certainly presented itself in the way of offensive rebounds in the first half. It continued a little bit in the second half, but for the most part, they abandoned that offensive approach, and I thought that really created some issues for them.
Yeah, I mean, you start settling for lower percentage shots, and some of those shots were shots, that Caleb Love and Davis would have hit earlier in the tournament maybe, but they're lower percentage shots. They're jump shots, they're threes, and like you said, they forced a lot of turnovers. And I think at the half, Kenny Smith said, he's like, the only way Carolina loses this game is if they turn the ball over. Well, there you go.
Yeah, they did exactly that. All right, so what a run by Carolina, an 8 seed, a team that many people thought, did they deserve to be in the tournament prior to blowing out Duke in Coach K's final home game at Cameron Indoor. The conversation was, how good is this North Carolina team really? They showed exactly how talented they are and what the ceiling for them was all season. I was happy for a guy like Hubert Davis to get as far as he did. It was difficult to root against him in the small way that I was, knowing what was on the line. If Kansas could have covered 3.5, by the way, first of all, how
lost in every way, shape, and form last night.
How do you grab an inbounds pass with 4.6 seconds left in the backcourt? You don't have to advance it past half court. The clock will run out on its own. They're going to come foul you. He wants to race the ball up the floor before he even has possession of it. He's got 1 foot out of bounds, and I'm losing my mind in bed last night because I know that I need free throws to cover 3.5. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I was going crazy internally.
We were in a tough spot last night because I'm rooting for you to win money, but my money, which I wasn't going to win anything, was on Carolina, and my heart is on Carolina. Out of the ACC, my dad's a big Carolina fan, so I'm like internally rooting for Carolina, externally rooting for Kansas for you. And you know what? Your team didn't even cover. So Kansas wins, but only by 3, and then we both lose. Carolina doesn't win, and you don't win your pool.
I know.
Big loss last night.
None of it's good. None of it's good. Bill Self's second title, his first since 2008.
Isn't that hard to believe?
Yeah, but they're always good. And they were, I think, they were the team to beat the year of COVID. I think they were going to be the top overall seed in that tournament. They were probably the team to beat that year. It didn't happen. So it felt like this was a little bit, I know it doesn't make sense because it's 2 years later. Guys are different. Remy Martin was at Arizona State. But it felt like a little bit, hey, here's an opportunity to redeem or at least take advantage of the opportunity we didn't get a couple of years ago. I know Kansas is embroiled in all kinds of NCAA violation stuff with Self right now. I'm not getting caught up in that today. Good for the Jayhawks. They're a talented group. They had the Big 12 Player of the Year, Ochai Agbaji, who did very little on Monday night, by the way. And Remy Martin made some big threes in the second half. That was a fun tournament and a fun game to cap it.
Yeah, and I kept hearing a lot of people say, and maybe it was even you, like, this isn't even Kansas's best team. Well, Kansas has had a lot of great teams in the past, so you're not going to have your best team every year. There's only one best team, but they didn't have. Listen, Abaji's maybe one of the best players. He's one of the best players in the country, but it didn't feel like they had a player that could just grab a game and take it over and end it. Not even him. And so it was guys like Christian Brown, Mitch Lightfoot, like Remy Martin, but there was never a guy that you thought, whoa, he's the game changer. I need to stop him. Agbaji, yeah, but he's a big-time three-point shooter, even for a big guy, which is kind of interesting to see. But yeah, I was never like scared of Kansas at any point, but they just kind of had pieces that worked. And I thought Carolina had better players in terms of, like, I liked Manick better. I love Baycott. How much did the injury hurt him?
Caleb Love.
Who knows? Caleb Love. I liked those guys individually better, but sometimes it just works.
Yeah, no, you're right. Carol's watching. Hey, Carol, good morning. Always
good morning,
good to see
Carol.
you. We've got a question from Billy here. Let's take it now, and it'll transition us into baseball. What are the Yankees waiting for, Ash, to pay Aaron Judge? Another huge day in spring training. Thoughts on Carlos Beltran in the broadcast booth? Well, Beltran wasn't going to get into the broadcast booth if he didn't at least say something about the 2017 Astros situation.
Yeah.
You just couldn't let that one kind of slide, and we're not going to pay attention to it. I have not seen him yet. I haven't experienced the Carlos Beltran analyst yet in the broadcast booth. I'm interested to kind of get his feel on that. But Ash, your thoughts here on Judge, and we will give our World Series predictions before the show is out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a Yankees fan, I think you have to pay him. Because he's just too talented. He's too talented.
But what do you pay him? I don't disagree. You have to pay him. You want to keep him.
Yeah.
What's the value?
I don't know what's fair. Are you asking length of contract too?
I'm asking both.
I mean, is 5 years 100 enough? Or we got to go 5 years 175?
Well, you're asking me, is it enough for Aaron Judge to say yes, or is it enough for the Yankees to? I don't think he's going to do it.
Is it enough to keep him and for someone else to not pay him more?
I don't see him signing anything below
30 a season.
6 years. Would be my guess. Is he's going to want
6 years, 30 a season though?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot. And it's a lot for one player. We've made this mistake. The Yankees have so many times. And he's an outfielder. Listen, that Jacoby Ellsbury, it's not the same, but that Jacoby Ellsbury contract hamstrung them for years and years and years. The money is a lot. And you can't then afford to pay. You have a ton of money tied up in Garrett Cole. The money becomes a lot.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Yep.
But we're not in a salary cap league. The Yankees could tell us, hey, but that's not true. They make money hand over fist every year. They can pay Judge, have it not work, and still go get whatever they need. Yeah. They may choose not to, and that's fine. You don't want to pay the luxury tax. I get that. My concern with Judge is his size and his ability to continue to play the outfield.
Yep.
He's 30.
Yeah.
Can he play it in 4 more years? That's and I get DH. Okay. But Stanton is still on the books beyond that. Mm-hmm. So if you give Judge 6, you're going to have a guy, at least for a couple of years, 2 guys who can't play the outfield. That's my concern. Can Judge become a first baseman? Maybe, but that's an experiment we haven't seen yet, really. So, Billy, I get your question, man, but I'm hesitant to commit long-term to Judge, despite him being the face of the franchise right now.
Yeah, I think that they'll do it. They have to do it. They're going to do it. But he makes me nervous, like a guy his size with injury. Can he stay on the field? The streakiness kills me. I mean, he might hit 40 home runs, but he's gonna strike out a bajillion times. But that's how that's the entire lineup. There aren't a lot of guys other than a guy like DJ LeMahieu who can hit for power, but also hit for average. There are not a lot of those in the Yankees lineup anymore.
Yep.
They got rid of one.
Are watching from DC. They are
hey, Mom.
Stuck in the airport.
Travel nightmares.
Headed to better weather, just not quite yet.
Not till tonight.
Safe travels, guys. Yeah, you've been more on the text chain than I have been this morning. All right, so our answer, Billy, is not a good or complete one for you. We know they have to pay him.
You got to pay him. He's going to go somewhere else and mash and get paid. Just let him do it here.
Yeah, look, obviously they're going to pay. I think they're going to overpay him because they feel the pressure to pay him. The Braves didn't do that with Freddie Freeman. Was that the right move? I don't know. We'll see. Freddie's also a few years older.
Yep. Also just so different. I was going to say he's more athletic. He's not more athletic, not even close, but he's a little more versatile in terms of he's a little more flexible. I feel like could imagine Freddie Freeman playing first versus Aaron Judge playing first. Freddie
played every day.
Yeah, I know. And so you can't it's just not the same comparison. And Freddie's going to hit. He hits for power. He hits for average. They're different players. I would take Freddie tomorrow. I'd take him tomorrow. But
the Braves said, thanks, no thanks. Which, hey, let's see how this works out.
I was going to say I'm very interested to see how the Matt Olson thing works out because they paid him a lot of money for a long, long time.
Yeah, I think he's going to be phenomenal.
Cool. Okay.
I think he's going to be great. I mean,
I hope so for your sake.
That ballpark, his swing, I think, and he's terrific defensively, and so is Freddie. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that if you pinned me down a month ago, hey, who would you rather have, Freddie? I'm taking Freddie. Mm-hmm. But best case backup scenario, Alex Anthopoulos did really, really well, I think, to get a guy like Matt Olson.
I feel like his numbers have only really been good for the short term. Listen, I know he's young, but he's had great numbers for one season?
Well, he's not that young. He's 28, and he had a brutal pandemic year. He hit below 200, but he hit 270 last year. He's going to hit more than 40 home runs. He's going to drive in at least 120 RBIs. He's going to be a better run producer than Freddie. He doesn't strike out a ton. He's just not going to hit for the same average as Freddie. So we got to recalibrate our brains as Braves fans to accept that.
Listen, he's going to be thrilled to be part of a much better lineup.
No doubt about that. All right, when we come back here on Onorato and Company, it's Chris Onorato, it's Ashley Miller. Our guest on today's show, Dan Gaucher, pro from Shaker Ridge, as I will take you inside the bunker in Clifton Park to talk about the Masters with him. We'll get his pick, not only to straight up win the tournament, but a guy that maybe you can win a little bit of money on, Ash, if he finishes top 5, top 3, that type of stuff. Stay tuned for that. Our World Series predictions coming up as well, and the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. That is next here on Onorato and Company. Hang on, everyone.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpenhaus.
All right, back on Onorato and Company, Chris Onorato, Ashley Miller. we are headed for a little time off as well. That's why we are
Yes.
in the week. If you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, thanks for hanging out with us. If you have baseball predictions, if you have Masters predictions, if you have thoughts on Monday night's national championship game between Kansas and North Carolina, or the women's title game between South Carolina and UConn, comment along. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll share the comments here as well. South Carolina, by the way, quick side note here, the team to ever beat UConn in a national championship game. That's Gino Auriemma was 11-0. If he got to the national championship game, he was darn well going to win the thing. That was and South Carolina handled them, Ash. I know that there's more that you've got on that coming up here. Let's fire up the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. Ash, you are going on the clock.
Yeah, listen, this, for me, I'm calling this the changing of the guard. I know people always kind of react in this way, but UConn hasn't won a title since 2016, which feels like a long time. And now this woman, Dawn Staley, in all of her glory, has won 2 national championships at South Carolina, has worked her way into a record-setting contract. She is the first Black coach in the Division I basketball history to win multiple national championships, male or female. Look at her. All the glory. She looks fly. She acts fly. She gives credit to everyone. She gives credit to her bench players, her staff, the ticket people, the janitors. She does everything right. Oh, by the way, she's won 3 gold medals as a player, 1 as a coach. She won National Player of the Year as a player. She's won National Coach of the Year. First person to do that. She's the first person to basically do everything, and now it's her turn. She's the woman, and South Carolina is on.
Yeah, it feels like it happened quickly.
Yeah.
Kim Mulkey, Muffet McGraw, like we were waiting for one of those coaches to take the torch, the mantle from Gino, and it never happened. Even with the coach at Louisville, even for somebody like him to take it from, and it never have Jeff Walls. Thank you.
Yep.
And now here's Dawn Staley in her $5,000 Louis Vuitton varsity jacket on the sideline, killing it with style, like you said, and winning championships at the same time. Like, when you watch a video of her, even just look at the pictures of her, you watch a video of her, tell me most, not all, but most of the best high school girls basketball players in the country don't relate with her. Yeah. They do. They're going to want to play for her. And I'm shorting Gino here, but in my opinion, the reason UConn has been so good for as long as they've been is because people said, I'm going to UConn because I want to win.
It's the only way I can win. That's why. It's the only way I can win a national championship.
Right.
Now that's not the case.
Even though it's been 6 years, like, people will now just want to go play for – I don't think they're going to view it as, hey, I'm going to South Carolina because it's my only chance to win or because I want to win. I think it's going to be, I want to play for her.
Correct. And I think that's the ultimate, like, I forget the word that I'm looking for, but if you're going to break one way or the other, you've got these 2 programs, you've got as good a chance to win at both places. And it's, do I want to play for Gino or do I want to play for Dawn Staley? I'm going to play for Dawn Staley every time. And I think a lot of females, you have to think about a lot of females, a lot of minority females are going to go play for Dawn Staley. She's cool. They represent her. She represents females. There's so much to love about Dawn Staley. And it's not to say that people aren't going to go play for Gino. They're going to go play for Gino. He's a fantastic basketball mind. What he's done, no one will ever do in women's basketball again. But the shift is happening, and it's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. Adia Barnes at Arizona, that movement is going to continue to happen. And females, I think, are going to go play for females more now than they ever have, which is cool.
Interesting. Will Dawn Staley leave for the NBA in the next 5 years?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. She's got it made. She just signed a $22 million contract.
How many things did you just rattle off that she was the first to do?
Everything, like 7.
So why not add one more? Why not be the first female head coach in NBA history?
Because won't Becky Hammon do it first?
I'm not convinced of that. I know she's now a WNBA job, and maybe NBA teams view that as, okay, now I see her as a head coach of professionals and we can move her. But I don't know. All of those things you just said, right? Minority, female head, like she checks a lot of the boxes that people don't want to talk about as being credentials to be an effective head coach.
And to be honest with you, if you're, and this is going to sound crazy, but if you're a guy in the NBA, would you not think it was pretty cool to play for her? I think a lot of guys, listen, the minorities in the NBA can relate to her. I think they would even, it's almost, she's representing Black people everywhere.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of Black players in the NBA who I think would forget the fact that it's a woman. They just want to play for a Black coach. And I think to be the first to even play for a female Black coach in the NBA would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it would be really cool.
Jeff says he thinks Dawn's going to have a longer shelf life than Gino, which is really interesting because Gino has dominated the sport for 25 years.
Yeah, he started a lot earlier than her too. So I'm not sure that.
Yeah, I mean, that Lobo title was his first, right?
95.
We're talking, yeah. So 25, I mean, he was at the top of the mountain. I mean, nobody could touch him basically for 25 years.
But that means she's going to have to go another 20 and win, at that level. Is she going to do that? I'm not sure.
Not going to get to 11. That's a lot.
No. Because now the parity, she'll win, but I think it'll be like she'll win a few more. The parity is so great. You've got teams like Stanford and Louisville and all these teams that'll pop up, but they'll come and go. I think the parity is definitely on the rise enough that you're not going to get someone winning 5 of 10 anymore.
We used to have a segment on the show called Bank on It, currently unsponsored. So it doesn't exist, but I will say it anyway. You want to be part of this segment.
If anybody out there wants it.
Yeah, shoot me an email. Bank on it. Dawn Staley is coaching in the NBA within 5 years.
I like this. I like that.
If I just said to you, a female will be a head coach in the NBA in the next 5 years, would you agree with that?
I don't know. It'll be close.
Okay.
Close.
And so my point would then
be Becky Hammon, you have to have success in the WNBA. You have to show that you can do it. And if it's not her, then Dawn Staley is your only other option at this point. There's no who else is out there that would be in this conversation.
No, and if I'm Staley, I'm not taking a bench job. I'm taking a head coaching job. Some team has to have the guts to hire a female coach right out of college. And that's a big, big leap. Like this is a woman who has never been in an NBA locker room, who has never coached men. And now you're going to say, go coach professional men making $40 million. You got to have the right group. The owner is going to have to know exactly what he or she has in that locker room that they're going to be accepting. They're going to listen. They're going to embrace it. All those things that you've kind of talked about here. I think in the next 5 years, there is a female head coach. And for me at this point, it's got to be Dawn Staley. All right, I'm going on the clock here.
All right, here we go.
Popeyes, Louisiana Fast Minute. There was only one thing that would pull me away from a beach this coming Sunday.
God, don't say it.
And it is Tiger Woods wearing red on the back nine at Augusta. This guy's going to play. He's going to make the cut. I think he finishes top 30. But my goodness, if he is in the top 10 on Sunday, how are we not finding a beach bar somewhere to watch the Masters and the last round? So Ash and I are getting out of town for a little bit. We've got plans already. But if he's wearing red, that means he's playing 18 on Sunday at Augusta. This is the only way that I would say to you and anybody else we're with, I have to get in front of a television. I have to watch the Masters. Spieth, Rory, Schauffele, no, none of these guys. I will catch the highlights. Tiger at 46 years old, I would have to see it happen live. And I think he's going to be good. Everybody says he looks phenomenal.
Yep.
He looks strong. He's driving the ball like crazy. The short game is good. He made it on the green at 8 in 2 yesterday. He could. I mean, that's realistic for him when the tournament starts, that he could be putting for eagle on that hole. The reviews are, hey man, this guy looks good.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to play. He's not going to play the par 3, which for me says everything I need to know. He's not messing around.
Mm-hmm.
He's there to play. He's there to win. And I'm fired up about it. It's been more than a year, 17 months since he's played competitive golf. We all know about the car wreck he had, the reconstructive surgery to his legs, talking about potentially having to amputate his right leg.
Which,
and now here we are.
Think about that.
At 46 years old, the potential to play what our friend Dottie Pepper says is maybe the most difficult walkable course, right? Like most difficult in terms of walking it on the bottom.
Hilly.
Yeah.
Hilly, tough, long, all of it. I just think about what you just said. He nearly had his leg amputated 13 months ago.
Yep.
And I get it. He's not playing football, but if you've ever swung a golf club, it's all about rotation and it's your legs. He's swinging. It's mind blowing. We've seen the guy come back before from injuries. Listen, that 2019 Masters run, which was some of the best television in the history of sports. No one gave him a chance then. He comes out and wins that one. And that was, back surgeries, he was coming off everything then. So I will never count him out. I think top 30 is probably where I will
draw the line.
I'm not going to say top 10, but I hope he makes the cut because he makes it more interesting. And if he's playing on Sunday, I'm happy to find a beach bar and watch it from there.
Okay, good enough. All right. Yeah, that's the only way I get distracted enough from a vacation like the one that we'll be on, that I feel like, okay, you know what? Let's get in, even if we have to go inside.
No, not going inside.
Even if we have to go inside, maybe.
If it's raining. And it
won't
be.
That isn't happening.
No.
Not where we're going to be. There's some of the odds. We showed you the favorites. Here's kind of the next wave of guys that I would say has a chance to win. And when you look at Tiger and Paul Casey and Patrick Reed at 50-1, if you're a gambler, you use the word value all the time. There's value here. Throw $10 down on one of these guys.
I was going to say, don't you throw $10 on Tiger just to make this more fun? Probably.
Yeah, although the way I've been going lately, oh my God, they'll be building a new Caesar's Palace pretty soon in Vegas. So I might just stay away from it completely so I can just watch and enjoy and not get wrapped up in what's going on with it. All right, when we come back here on Onorato and Company, conversation still to come with Shaker Ridge pro Dan Gaucher. Great dude. Hadn't met him before. Great conversation with him up at the bunker in Clifton Park that we will bring you here shortly. But back to Major League Baseball. Opening day is here. We're going to see Shohei Ohtani in person, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Assuming nothing happens between Tuesday at 10:42 and Thursday at 9:38 Eastern. I've never seen Mike Trout in person, so
I'm pumped about that too.
Yeah, cool.
Thrilled.
So we're looking forward to that as the Angels take on the Astros on opening day here in a couple of days. But what do we think about the Yankees' chances? What do we think about the Mets' chances? You guys want to weigh in? Go ahead and comment along. You know how to do it on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. And we will give our World Series predictions still ahead here on Onorato and Company. Hang on, back right after this.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
Teams, athletes, organizations, We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpenhaus.
All right, here we go. Alpenhaus, Novice, Popeyes, Pick Six Vodka, Saratoga Courage Distillery, and Marcella's Appliance Company. Shout out to all of our partners here. I know people say sponsor. Our partners here. I've gotten to know all these business owners really, really well over the last year. Our thanks to all of them for the support here in year number 1 of what is now Onorato and Company, which really works because we got 2 Onoratos on the show. And then the guest kind of becomes the company. So as we mull over a name and the permanent future of this, maybe it works. I don't know. You know what we should do is I jokingly said, let's pretend. I'm upset to people who are friends, but let's make it like some of the professional franchises who have entered the Capital Region, and we'll make it seem like it's a fan vote, right? And then we'll just pick the one that we like best after it all. Like, get me down to the top 3, and then I'm
picking my own.
Right?
I'm picking my own.
All right. So we'll do our World Series predictions here. Of course, the Braves are the what's their title, Ash?
Reigning World Series champs.
Sounds pretty good.
Sound better to be back-to-back World Series champs.
It wasn't as enjoyable of an off season as it should have been.
Well, no, you lost lockout. What about that is enjoyable?
And you had the lockout. There was no.
Oh, you were like
build up to spring training with pitchers and catchers. Everything was about labor talks.
You were beside yourself, ready to quit baseball forever. A lot of talk. Now you're back.
That's the typical baseball fan, right? we hate the darn sport because a bunch of idiots are running it. But then when it comes back, we can't let it get like that really attractive girl in high school who's a total, but she's too good looking to let her go. So you just hang on.
That wasn't me.
You can't justify it. There's no rational thinking here. We're fans. But I'm glad baseball's back, or at least pretty darn close to it.
Yes.
Can the Braves do it again? We'll get to that in a moment. But let me ask you first about the Yankees here, how this team's constructed in a division that looks uber competitive. I say uber competitive. Are we cool with that phraseology here? Because Tampa's maybe the best team in the division, but Toronto is loaded up and ready to
Toronto's
go.
The best team in the division.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Toronto for me. I mean, have you seen their starting rotation?
I've seen it.
It's
better than last year's?
Good. Huh?
Is it better than last year's?
Yeah, maybe.
Robbie Ray won the Cy Young.
I know, but you've replaced him. You've got Jose Barrios. You've got Kevin Gausman. Like, those dudes are pretty darn good themselves. Yep. And, oh, by the way, Ryu.
And Manoah is a beast.
Yeah. Yep. Alec. For me, that starting rotation, I mean, 1 through 4, that starting rotation is killer. Okay. I love it. And their lineup is absurd too. I mean,
it is.
I would say for me, their lineup is second to the Dodgers.
And now defensively with Chapman at third, they're very, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Toronto, Tampa, Boston is not great.
No, and pitching will be a problem for them.
Horrible.
They're going to be terrible. Offensively, it's always a team that scores runs. They've got a ton of power pop through that lineup. So they're going to have to score 8 runs a game because I don't think they're going to be very good starting pitching wise. But for me,
where do the Yankees stack up?
For me, I think yesterday on my pod, I said Toronto, Tampa, Boston, New York. Today, I kind of feel like it's for me, Boston and New York is like a wash. It's maybe a tied for third. And then the Orioles in the basement. Our pitching is better than Boston's, but our lineup has more holes in terms of streakiness and the power of the production that we can put up on the board. So right now I feel like Yankees, but yesterday I felt like Red Sox over the Yankees. So they're somewhere in that tied for third spot for me. How about you?
I'm just not so quick to, and look, I'll give my prediction here in a moment and it'll sound like I'm contradicting myself, but part of me is just seeing the Rays do this for too long. to say that they're not going to win 94 to 97 games and win that division.
Yeah, and I'm
There's
not
just
saying they're not good.
something about their model that I feel like is going to work again this year as everybody talks about the offseason additions of Toronto, Boston, and to a degree.
Boston didn't do anything. I mean, Trevor's story for me is that's not enough. Because is that going to translate? Are his numbers going to translate from Coors to then Boston? For me, that's not enough. And they need pitching.
Yeah. No, that's where they swung and missed. Is they didn't address the absolute need, and that was pitching from starters to bullpen in Boston. They didn't do any of that. So that's going to be a problem for them. That's why I think Yankees easily
We'll see.
should be viewed as a team that finishes ahead of Boston. You don't like the Yankees? I mean, look, there are question marks in the Yankees rotation. Like, what is Luis Severino going to be?
Right. What's he going to look like?
But Garrett Cole's going to be a stud at the top of that rotation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have spin control. You have spin rate concerns.
And that's the thing. It's like, is he going to be the guy that he was with the Astros? You know what I mean? Like, is he going to be just that, like, shut down? You feel like you're going to win every game he throws. I don't always feel like that. Yeah. I wish I did because they're paying him a lot of money, but I don't always feel like that.
All right, let's get into our predictions here, and we'll get to our guest as well. Here we go, Ash. Our World Series predictions on today's show. We will be held to them all the way until the end of October. You've got the Dodgers over the Blue Jays. I've got the Braves defending over the Blue Jays. Can I be honest with you here? I searched for a reason not to pick the Braves. In other words, a reason to pick another team. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't talk myself into why that team was better than Atlanta or had a better chance to win it all over the Braves. So I am picking Atlanta here, yes, because I'm a homer. But you know me, I don't generally do this. A healthy Acuna. Yep. I think Matt Olson has a monster year. I don't think he feels pressure the way he would in maybe some other media markets around the country to perform. I think he's a big, big year. Full year of d'Arnaud. We can only hope behind the plate. He's got 3 home runs and like 12 spring training at bats. I know, who cares, but he's a power bat on that team.
Kyle Higashioka.
Yeah, I mean, Albies and Riley and Ozuna is back in this lineup as well.
I can't believe you've taken him back.
Me neither, but it's where we are. So when Acuna is back healthy, which they say will be the end of April, middle of May, he'll be DHing.
Okay.
They're going to be awfully, awfully good. The bullpen is loaded.
Yeah.
And if Soroka gives them anything this year,
back midway through the year.
Anything, this team is better than last year. Okay. Better than last year.
You like their starting pitching better than the Dodgers?
Is Soroka healthy and effective?
Well, not till midway through the season. So as of currently, no.
I don't know that I like it better.
Okay.
But it's not any worse, really. Like, I like Walker Buehler, of course. Mm-hmm. And Urias is very good. Is Dustin May going to give them anything this year? Trevor Bauer, what's his situation?
Yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't pitch, though, I still like them.
Is Clayton Kershaw, what's he, but I think Atlanta's just as good. Just as good.
Yeah, I think I like, listen, the names that you just rattled off in Atlanta's lineup are good. I think top to bottom, 1 through 9, the Dodgers have the best lineup in baseball. There is no one to pitch around in that lineup. Like Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Gavin Lux, help me out here, Chris Taylor. Like, even that guy. Like, you know what I mean? It's Cody Bellinger. Like, these guys, that lineup is so good. It's unbelievable.
Yep. There is no Corey Seager.
No, I know. Yep.
Max Muncy is there. And look, you know my obsession with Chris Taylor.
You love him.
For people who don't follow baseball, you go, who is this guy? Like,
he's so
is he any good?
So good.
I'd take 9 of those guys and I'd win a lot of baseball games.
But there a lot of those guys, they come to the plate, you're like, oh, I don't want to pitch to that guy.
Yeah.
You got to pitch to somebody.
Yeah. All right, so you're on the Dodgers, I'm on the Braves, but we're both on the Blue Jays to win the American League, which I think is very, very interesting here. All right, Ash, take a quick time out here. When we come back on Onorato and Company, we're going to talk with Dan Gaucher, I think, from Shaker Ridge. He's the pro there. We'll get his thoughts on what he expects at Augusta National this week ahead, and how the golf season is kind of shaking up in the capital region, because, as you know, places aren't open just yet, but they are coming. Stand by for Dan Gaucher.
All right.
Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, Genair, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpenhaus.
And we're up at one of our spots, the Bunker in Clifton Park. Love hanging out here, a beautiful space, what they've been able to do here in this building. And if you love golf the way the guy next to me loves golf, I know he feels like right at home here in the Bunker. And what do you think of this spot? As I'm with Dan Gaucher from Shaker Ridge. What do you think of the Bunker, man?
This is my first time here. This place is it's the real deal, man. This is pretty cool. I have all the technology, have the bar scene. You could get in good practice if you want, or you could just kind of have fun and hang out. I mean, I could get used to this place.
There is no such thing as good practice for me when it comes to golf. But when you think about the technology, obviously growing up playing the game, I'm going to assume everything you did was outdoors.
Yeah.
How close is this to the outdoor game?
It's as close as you could possibly get. Like with companies like TrackMan and stuff like that, like they have here. I mean, it's as good as it could get. And the best part is even this same technology is the stuff that I use every day out on a driving range to teach lessons and everything like that too. So it's the same exact stuff that you're getting indoors and outdoors. It's just everything has come such a long ways. It's incredible how good it is.
All right, well, we're hanging out with Dan here in Clifton Park because the Masters is upon us. So we want to make some predictions. We want to preview what this year's field looks like with or without Tiger. What is a longer course from what Dottie Pepper has told me that makes it even more challenging at Augusta. Maybe it's the most difficult course of all the four majors. We get Dan's take on that. And we'll run down some of the odds. But you see the bottom of your screen, DanGaucherGolf.com, Shaker Ridge Country Club. And here in Clifton Park, Premier Golf and Fitness. Check him out, doing great things on the local scene for the 518 golfers. The Masters. Yes. Is it your favorite golf tournament or favorite major of the year, being that it's the first and it's as rich in history as it is?
It's up there for me. It's probably a close second for me personally. Just the U.S. Open is a cool story too, where anybody can qualify. It's usually the hardest, longest courses. But as a golf purist, it doesn't get much better than Augusta National. And, the feel that it always brings is always the best of the best of the best. So it never disappoints, that's for sure. So I can't be more excited for it this year. Like you said, with some crazy storylines coming in that, I can't wait for next week. That's for sure.
All right. So 91 golfers are on the list and Tiger Woods' name is on the list. Yeah. How much does it matter that he still plays in events like this for you as a fan?
Everything. Especially my generation growing up. I mean, he was the guy, right?
Yep.
Like he is golf to my generation and my, there's no question he's the best of all time in my opinion, right? So for him to play, and even from like a golf professional standpoint, there's a direct correlation to the more Tiger plays, not necessarily the better Tiger plays, but the more Tiger plays, the more people want to play golf, the better golf does in general. So it's like, why wouldn't we want this guy to be out there every week as long as he can, as healthy as he could be? So I think it's huge. Even if he waits a little bit longer to say yes or no, it's good for us because it gets people talking about golf and interested in golf, and so I'm all for it.
Yeah, and here we are doing exactly that. I've got his odds. He's 50-1 to win the Masters. I mean, if you have $10 lying around, why not throw it down, right? If he plays and he wins, boy, you feel good. But what is it about Augusta that would make it difficult for anybody? I mean, he's a world-class athlete, but given the severity of his injuries, this is one of the most difficult walking courses, is it not?
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. The undulations, you wouldn't assume like rural Georgia, starting to get down south, starting to get into flatlands, but they've built this mecca that really is, I mean, up and down, and it's a long walk too. I mean, they've lengthened the golf course almost every year, and if they get bad weather, it just makes that walk even longer. When things get wet, things get heavy, it really becomes a long walk. It's one of the longer, hillier walks on all of the tour. So that plays a big role in a yes or no for him. That's a big piece.
All right, so would you prefer to be a long hitter at Augusta, or do you want to be precise as I throw up some odds here? These are the top odds. Rahm, no surprise, is number 1, and then Colin Morikawa is the world number 2, and he's 2 on the list.
Yeah, so when you look at it on paper, like, yes, it pays to just be long as could be. The rough is short. It pays to just hit it a long ways, and there's not a huge penalty for guys that are a little offline. I mean, when you look at some of Tiger's wins, I mean, he's punching out of trees. He's not hitting a ton of fairways, but he's hitting it further than everybody else. However, when you look at statistically, like back into Masters lore and stuff, and guys like Zach Johnson won hitting it 270 off the tee. Guys like Mark O'Meara, Freddie Couples are winning Masters, not hitting it very far off the tee. So on paper, I'd say, yes, go get all the bombers. That's where all the money is. But then, Bryson has struggled at Augusta, and there's a guy who hits it further than everybody. And I would think, again, on paper, this should be his tournament to lose every year. But it hasn't worked out that way, so I haven't put my money down on him just quite yet.
Yeah. Well, here he is at 25-1. That's enticing if you want to just take a flyer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be ashamed to say that's where money should go. Again, on paper, it fits him. Yeah. It fits his play. It fits just bombing it, and there's not a lot of rough and not a lot of trouble. The thing with him, I think, is just the short game, the 100 yards and in, the wedge play. It's tough, so even if he is hitting it far and those are the shots that he has in, Augusta's greens, you've got to be precise. You've got to hit it close. You've got to be in the right spots on the right holes.
And think about the guys we've seen fall apart at Amen Corner, right? I mean, guys who go wide, he didn't hit long, but you go wide, you end up in Rays Creek or somewhere like that. I mean, we saw McIlroy fall apart when I thought for sure they were sizing him for that green jacket.
Yeah, well, and even when Tiger won 4 years ago, I mean, Molinari was there, Brooks Koepka was there, and it was like out of the last 3 groups, like 8 guys hit it in the water. Tiger was the only one he knew where to hit it, he knew the club to hit, he knew the wind. So there might be something to be said there about, just knowing the course and playing there as many times as he has. That very well might be a big deal too,
Let me throw some other things out here at you too. We talked about Morikawa, and I'll put his odds back up here. He's 12-1 along with Justin Thomas. Morikawa is the world number 2, but he has struggled here, Dan. 18th last year, 44th in 2020. Now, here's the catchphrase that we use in sports too much: small sample size from this guy. Why would he have struggled there? And in particular, he has struggled to putt it well at Augusta. Are these greens as difficult as they seem to be?
And that's just it. I mean, not knowing what spots to be in, where you have to be. When you talk to these guys, and you talk to guys like Scott Fawcett, who's a real, numbers guy who plots his way around golf courses, he talks about how, like, your target isn't the pin a lot of times, especially at Augusta National. It might be, hey, I've got to hit it 20 feet, 20 yards right of where the flag is. So, if you haven't played there and you don't know this, and you haven't done this over and over and over, I mean, the idea is to hit it close and make the putt, right?
Yep.
At Augusta, sometimes 4 is a good score. Move on to the next hole, make your birdies where you can, take advantage of par 5s, things like that. But there's a lot of holes where it's like, don't even look at that flag, right? Especially when you get late into the weekend. Sometimes the flag is like the worst spot to try and hit it. That's where all the trouble is. Take your 4, get out of there and run. So the more he learns about stuff like that, I don't see, again, why he couldn't with his ball striking ability, with his approach game. I don't see why he couldn't do well there.
I was looking into some of the guys that I think have a shot. Jordan Spieth is only 28 years old. How is this possible? He won his green jacket in 2014. It feels like a lifetime ago. And he had that stretch of 2 majors and 2 of 4 or 3 of 5 or whatever it was, where it felt like, okay, he is going to ascend to be the number 1 golfer. And maybe he's going to really start to press and get to double-digit majors. We now see how difficult that is and how great Tiger and Jack have
right.
been, or were for a very, very long time. Can Spieth recapture any of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, a guy who can putt a golf ball like he can, yes, totally. If he can get a couple things figured out off the tee where he can keep it in play, get it to some yardages that he likes, and, really just get the flat stick in his hand as soon as possible, right?
Okay.
He's a guy, he doesn't have to hit it super close to go low, which is nice at a place like Augusta. And talk about a guy who knows these greens better than most. Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to rely on how he does maybe this week coming in. If he's on a high, he won in Texas last year.
Yep.
So, and he finished well last year in the Masters.
So
right?
I was just going to say, right, he won the Valero. Okay. He's had 5 top 3 finishes in 8 starts at Augusta. Yeah. So while I know we're going to, only one, but he is in the hunt every single Sunday.
Yeah. No,
so maybe don't play him to win, but play him to finish top 5. You're not going to win a ton of money on a bet like that.
He's a great guy to lump in with something else in there, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. He was 3rd at the Masters last year, like you said. He was a runner-up at the Open last year as well. So maybe no wins, but he's hanging around. He's almost like getting into Ricky Fowler territory here. As much as Ricky's chasing that first major, Ricky's had how many top 10s at majors in his career? It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, and with those guys at that level, you sniff it, you want it, right? Like, he's not happy with these 2nd place, 3rd place finishes in these majors. He wants more. He's at a point in his career where, like, money's not an issue anymore, right? He wants wins. He wants majors. So you can kind of pick and choose where you want to play, how you want to play. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be primed and ready to go this coming week.
Let me ask you a weird, stupid thing with Jordan Spieth, and I only notice it with him. He always, when his post-round press conferences, always references we. And I understand he's talking about he and his caddy and maybe even his overall team. But I've never heard another golfer speak that way, we. I mean, there is never a reference of I or me. He may slip up from time to time, but it is always a collective effort. So as much as you may see him getting after Greller, like there's a real respect there, right?
100%. It's especially with a partnership like that, that's not just a player caddy. They're best friends, right? They hang out all the time. They go out to dinner, things like that. Even down to like his coaches, right? Like his instructors, Cameron McCormick, guys like that. Like they've had him since he was such a young age. It's not like he came to him as a tour pro saying, "Help me, I need to win."
Yep.
They've known this kid since he was 10 years old and helped him come up through the ranks. So that plays a big role too. It's more of a father figure. When you're on the road, here's a guy like you said. He's only 28 now. Yeah. He's been doing this for a long time, right? So he's had his coach along his side. He's had his caddy, the same caddy along his side. So it very much is a team aspect, with them there for sure.
It's crazy. All right, pick one guy for me. Who do you feel is the favorite going in?
It's got to be Jon Rahm. I mean, it's one of those guys. I mean, I think he just lost his world number 1 last week, so he's one of those guys. From what I've heard from other guys on tour and things like that, he's one of those guys that he has it, like he wants it. He's one of those guys. He's not happy if he's not number 1 in the world. He's not happy if he's not winning 20 majors, right? Like he's even been interviewed and said, he wants to break Jack's record or Tiger's if it turns out that way. He wants to be that guy, and he doesn't want to stop playing until he's that guy. So when you get a guy with that talent and that attitude, I find it really hard to bet against him.
Okay.
You know,
How about a guy maybe go off the board a little bit? You just kind of like his game for this course or the experience he's had there and the way he's finished in the past? Is there somebody you'd say, hey, if it isn't Rahm and if it isn't one of the bigger names in the sport, it could be this guy on the back nine to watch out for on Sunday?
I'll give you a name that you probably don't have on your list there too, is Billy Horschel. He's one of those guys. He doesn't have a major yet. He's got WGC wins. He's got wins on tour. He's found a form this year that he's been there on Sunday on the back nine multiple times already in an early season. So I don't see why not. He hits it long enough. If he can mentally keep it together, I like this guy's game. I like the tenacity that he has going in. I don't see why it couldn't be him, you know?
Okay, so watch out for Herschel maybe as just even a top 5 guy at Augusta in the Masters. All right, let's talk about the local golf scene here. Dan, what kind of winter did we have for a golf course? Because I know just as an individual, not a ton of snow, had a lot of ice, but even when we did have snow, it melted quickly. What did that do to the course?
Yeah, sometimes that's not always a great thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want the snow to kind of just sit on it, insulate it all winter. But I know over at Shaker, you know, the greens are all uncovered. We're getting ready to mow and everything like that. The course looks great because it doesn't have as much snow. It's a lot drier than we probably expected in years past. I know there's some golf courses that are already open and you know, running full bore already. You know, they're able to get out there. So, I mean, the weather last year maybe wasn't great with some rain, but we haven't had those crazy winters that drag us out too long into golf season. So we're excited. I mean, it's within days at this point for almost everybody in 518 here that we'll be opening up and in golf season here. So
yeah, and all the meteorologists at 13 say we're done with significant snow. So I don't think you're going to get that blast in April or, my goodness, even May that forces you off the course for a little bit. So you know you'll have the rains to deal with. But I've been invited to Shaker Ridge for a number of events, but they know not to invite me to play golf. I'm there to MC the RPI hockey golf outing every year. And Dave Smith never says to me, like, hey, come play around. No, just show up, speak into the microphone, do the auction thing, and we're good to go. But it's a beautiful course that you guys have there. And Dan Gaucher Golf is the place to find .com. DanGaucherGolf.com is the place to find, first of all, videos, tips, okay, before you get back out onto the course this year. Check them out there. And on Facebook. Go like the Facebook page as well, which will link you to a lot of that information. All right, the bunker. I know you'll be back.
100%, yeah.
You've been blown away by this. There are multiple locations now in the Capital Region. We're in Clifton Park. There's a Gilderland spot and one that will open soon in that North Greenbush, East Greenbush area. So check them out at the bunker. Dan, thanks for hanging out, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpen House.
That was cool. Happy to hang out with Dan Gaucher and talk a little bit of golf, Ash, as we get ready for golf season in many places around the Capital Region here. And we'll give our Masters pick here quickly before we say goodbye and before we kind of ship off for a little bit of time off here.
Yeah.
You like to win at Augusta. Who's taking the
I'm going to go Morikawa. I know we had said he hasn't had a ton of success at the Masters, but I love the young, the energy. He's got 2 majors under his belt, so maybe this is the time he gets it done. Go Morikawa.
Okay, I'm going to also go young, energetic American.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't Tiger Woods, but it's his buddy Justin Thomas.
Okay.
Who finds a way
behind that.
to get it done. Jordan Spieth is the guy I want to pick. but I'm going to go with Justin Thomas. I think give me Justin Thomas to win the Masters. I have no idea. I will be rooting for Tiger Woods.
Go tune into ESPN because he's about to talk.
Okay, there you go. Thanks for watching Onorato and Company, everybody, here on the News Channel 13, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Saturday nights on My 4. For Ashley Miller, I'm Chris Onorato. Enjoy baseball. Enjoy the Masters. What a great time for sports.